It's Subverted Tropes, a podcast about movies, featuring your hosts Daniel Spencer and Kate Harlow. Shall we do this thing?
Let's do this thing.
Welcome to another episode of Subverted Tropes.
My name's Kate.
My name's Dan.
And today we are talking about the David Cronenberg directed classic Scanners.
So let's talk about Scanners. I haven't seen this movie yet.
This is one of those ones that's been a very, very long time for me.
So let's set the stage a little, because you know I like to do that. Mm-hmm. It's 1974. Canada passes, well, they changed their tax structure around. The capital cost allowance goes up from 60% to 100%. Now, I know that you know what the capital cost allowance is.
I was going to ask.
Ripley knows what the capital cost allowance is.
Don't you?
But for that one or two people listening who don't know the Canadian CCA, capital cost allowance is basically, it allows you to, if you invest in a movie, when you are taxed for your income on that movie, you can deduct a percentage of your investment into that movie from those taxes.
Okay. So
when the CCA went up to 100%, that's basically you can deduct your entire investment.
That seems fair to me.
Pretty decent tax shelter.
Yeah.
The nerdy portion of this podcast.
Brought to you by Daniel Spencer.
But Daniel what?
Spencer.
All right. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye out for H&R Block and Spencer. Coming your way next April.
I've had 10 dragon ciders.
Oh, God. I don't think that's even true. I think this is your first still.
It is.
Yeah, you're a very slow drinker. So, in 1979, Embassy Pictures wanted to capitalize on this tax shelter. Mm-hmm. And David Cronenberg came to them with the script for Scanners. Originally, in 1976, he had done kind of an earlier option for the movie called Telepathy 2000, which was a very different movie. It had a very disturbing opening scene, which I will not describe to you because it's awful. The protagonist's name, mind you, this was 1976, was Harley Quinn.
Oh, David.
Oh, David.
Oh, David.
I mean, to be fair, that does precede Harleen Quinzel.
It does.
By a long shot.
It does.
But also that movie never saw the light of day.
What would Harleen Quinzel have been named if Telepathy 2000 had come to fruition?
Jessica Tur. And they just called her Jester.
Joker and Jester.
Beautiful. It's great. So Cronenberg went to them with the script, not realizing that they wanted to do this whole tax shelter thing. And they jumped on it. They said, yes, this sounds great. We understand you have the first half written. But it's November, and we need to have this movie filmed by the end of 1979. Or we're not gonna be able to get this tax benefit. So they started filming before the script was finished.
Always a good plan.
And
Always
they
a
had
good plan.
2 months to do the filming, the entire production.
Making it up as they go. Yeah.
Of course.
Great. Good job.
This was very frustrating for Cronenberg.
I can't imagine why.
He was busy during the day with filming, which often went into the night. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he would regularly get up at 4 a.m. and spend the first 3 hours of his day writing the script.
Oh, beautiful.
They were so pressed for time, they weren't really able to build a lot of sets. Mm-hmm. So they basically drove around looking for places that would fit the general description of the areas that the scenes were supposed to be shot in.
Amazing.
I just love that idea of, David, this next scene's supposed to take place near a Wendy's, right?
Want to just shoot at this Wendy's?
That's not at all what I wrote. That's not what I wrote at all.
But David,
No.
we don't have time to find an Outback.
But that's not what I wrote.
David, you wrote it yesterday. Just change it.
You're ruining my vision!
It wasn't the only frustrating thing for Cronenberg in regards to the shooting of this movie.
I don't see how that could be possible. It sounds like a dream.
Lead actors Patrick McGoohan
That's such a great name.
and Jennifer O'Neill. Not the lead actors, but a couple of the lead actors, Patrick McGoohan and Jennifer O'Neill. They did not get along with each other,
Oh, classic feud.
and they had a lot of scenes together.
Classic.
So they just don't have great chemistry apparently in the movie. I'm not sure about that, and should take a look at it and see. But it was very, very rough for Cronenberg to try and keep their immature spat, in line while writing the movie and producing in such a short time frame.
That's great. But the only thing I can think of whenever anybody says that actors don't have chemistry is Tobias yelling at the kids when he's trying to direct.
In Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real great.
Which is also what I imagine the Sex and the City movies were like.
Oh, it had to be. Had to be. Similarly frustrating, not for Cronenberg, but for the actor who plays Cameron Vale, Stephen Lack, was that he was just thrown into it day one. Because obviously they're working under such a tight schedule.
His agent was just like, show up here.
Show up here and do what they tell you. And what they tell you to do is get into a giant 18-wheeler with 4 gear shifts, and they don't tell you how to drive it, and then they tell you to drive it.
I think that's how most people learn to drive stick, isn't it?
In an actual highway setting.
That's totally how most people learn to drive stick.
Yeah. Here's how he recalls the situation. There we were, the first day of scanners, and they had me get into this 18-wheel truck with 4 gear shift levers and have me drive into the shot. It was horrifying. I never drove such a thing, and I was pretty disoriented. We were set up on a feeder road to the highway, and all the camera crew and staff were there, and some car on the highway slowed down to gawk, and the truck on the highway rammed them from behind. And please, just see how casually he mentions this next part. I'm going to start midway through that last sentence, and then just keep going the casual way that he says all of this. And some car on the highway slowed down to gawk, and a truck on the highway rammed them from behind. There was a death and sirens, and the whole crew jumped over the storm fence to help out. I was given a slight reprieve of an hour to figure out the gears.
I'm sorry, did he mention sirens?
He did mention sirens. Yeah.
Hot damn.
It's insane.
Wow.
Just,
Wow.
all right, guys, we've just caused a death. Indirectly caused a death. Lack, you take like an hour to figure your stuff out. Everyone else, 15-minute break. 15-minute break. We'll come back. Is that enough time to process what just happened?
Correct me if I'm wrong. The time frame, if I've got the time frame right, it could have been that same person who was driving the car who hit Donald Sutherland.
It very well could have been the person who hit Donald Sutherland.
I mean, I know you didn't say it was an extra driving a car. It was just a civilian.
It was just a person.
But it could have
But
been.
it was probably an extra who was hoping to get cast as an extra in Scanners.
Like if he just milled around the area that day.
Yeah, maybe if I show them how well I can drive.
I'm going to get another shot at this, guys. I'm going to prove to them that I'm better.
I'm sorry, you're not. Moving on. That's about all the production notes I have. Let's talk a little bit about the remake.
No, I don't want to.
You're really not gonna. In 2007, they announced that they were going to do a remake.
Bullshit.
Written by David S. Goyer, who wrote such amazing films as Blade, The Dark Knight, Batman vs. Superman, Man of Steel. So he was the one writing the script, and the director You're going to love who the director was going to be. David Lynn Bousman. Do you know that name? Do you recognize that name?
It's ringing a bell, but it's not connecting, and I feel like it's because my brain is raging so hard at the fact that they even tried to remake it.
So, Bousman has directed at least 4 movies that I've seen. And I imagine you would have saw 2, 3, or 4 of them.
Get Out.
He did not direct Get Out. That was Jordan Peele. Yeah, he directed Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, and Repo the Genetic Opera. You guys should see the face that Kate is making right now. Her eyes are about as scrunched up as they can get. I don't think I've ever seen her mouth smaller, and her nose is just this wrinkled. It's so adorable. I can't even put it into words.
Angry face. I'm angry.
She's very cute when she's angry.
Angry.
Bousman recalled in 2013 that he wasn't going to make the movie without David Cronenberg's blessing. And that was not forthcoming.
Good.
So the project got canned.
Good.
You're just, I love how worked up you are about this.
It didn't need a remake.
I know. You're so cute when you're angry. So that's about all that I have. I figure we can talk about it, the movie afterwards, so that we can kind of go more in depth into the nuances of the film and the tropes and all that good stuff. But since you haven't seen it in forever and I haven't seen it,
It's been a long time.
yeah, I didn't want to go too deep into spoiler territory.
I'm just but I'm just gonna throw it out there. When was it released? Remind me.
January of 1981.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna go see this movie, and we're back.
We are back.
That was a really great movie.
It was. Is a really good movie. Some of the acting a little bit rough.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. I think that especially Stephen lacks the ability to act.
That's fair.
He was so dry.
Yes.
I feel like they were like, okay, Stephen, if you could just act for this scene. Don't just say your lines, just could you act for us, please?
I am acting.
No, Stephen. You're just saying your lines again. So just go ahead and act. Remember, you're scared in this scene. Go.
You killed him.
All right. Let's
You
try.
are a murderer.
Okay, let's try this one more time from the top. But this time try and put some emotion into it. Okay, action.
You killed him, you murderer.
I think we got it. So they hired Stephen Lack and Patrick McGowan and Jennifer O'Neill with the expectation that they were going to really be the breakout stars. But of course, none of them were. The breakout star from this movie was Michael Ironside.
Yeah, he really, I think, was used to the best of his strengths.
I completely agree. He's a phenomenal actor, and he's so good at looking creepy but very smart. So let's talk about some of the stuff that I didn't want to talk about beforehand.
Tell me.
The famous head exploding scene.
Which I'm just going to throw out there. It's 13 minutes into the film.
Yeah. It's 13 minutes into the film. It was supposed to open the film.
But they really needed all that exposition.
Well, David Cronenberg was so proud of the scene, he wanted to make sure that if anyone was late getting to the movie, they'd still be able to see it.
That is so Cronenberg. I feel like, for me growing up, I feel like that was one of the things that I could really point to. Like, for people who didn't know Cronenberg, I could be like, let me explain Cronenberg. This is Cronenberg.
Yeah, it's I think just that fact alone, and then the art scene.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the art scene is...
yeah.
All that art is very Cronenbergian.
Yeah.
So the Robert Stigwood Organization,
Mm-hmm.
RSO,
Mm-hmm.
Was a recording label. And they said, we want to have some promotion in this movie. So there's a scene where a school butler... So there's a scene where a school bus... I did it again. Now I can't edit this out. I have to keep it in for the laughs.
The wheels on the bus go round, 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 round.
Ermagerd Burks on the school bus.
On the school bus.
So-
Going to the Lurber.
The Lurber. All right, let's try this one more time. Third time's the charm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene when a school bus crashes in to a record store.
I'm sorry, I ruined it. The cat scratched my leg.
It's fine. We'll try it one more time. There's a scene where a school bus crashes into a record store.
Yes.
And you can see throughout the record store advertisements for RSO, the record label.
Mm-hmm.
They paid money. I could not find. I tried to look and see how much they paid for it. But they paid money.
Probably more than what they really got out of that crash scene.
You know, it's funny that you say that. By the time this movie was released, RSO was out of business.
They really needed that promotion. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they were spending all their money on promotion and not on the quality recording that they needed to.
That's got to be it. They have to have put all their money into promotions in movies and not in actual recording. They probably didn't even release any albums. They just put their name out there.
Give me the name of anybody who released a record with them.
It's a good point. I'm going to go to the videotape. All right, I'm going to walk back everything I just said.
Okay.
Bee Gees.
Dang.
Eric Clapton.
Dang.
Andy Gibb.
Dang.
They released the soundtracks to Fame, Sparkle, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Times
What
Square, and Saturday Night Fever.
happened?
Now, to be fair, I'm trying to
They were
understand.
owned by MC Hammer?
I'm trying to understand how that
That
could be a
timeline doesn't work
thing,
out.
because the timeline doesn't. They were defunct in 1983, not in 1981 when this movie. I think I got some bogus information, and that is disappointing. Well, there goes that fun. Oh, wait a minute.
Hold up.
Oh, shit.
Walk it back. Walk it back a third time.
RSO was responsible for one of the greatest movies of all time.
Wait, it was Rocky Horror?
No.
Okay.
Better.
The Room. No.
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts
Oh my
Club
God.
Band. Of course they were, if they worked with the Bee Gees. But they were involved in that movie. They produced that whole thing, apparently.
I'm very curious about what happened. What happened?
I mean, did you see that movie?
No.
It's so bad.
Okay.
We need to watch that movie.
Okay.
So many Beatles covers.
Okay.
And they're not good. Not all of them are good. Some of them are good.
Okay.
Aerosmith's Come Together is fucking fantastic.
Wow.
George Burns singing, which should never happen.
Okay. Fair.
The Bee Gees and Peter Frampton are Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Okay.
It's real bad. It's a phenomenal movie. We'll watch it sometime. I own the soundtrack on vinyl.
Okay.
Let's get back to this movie, though.
Let's do.
So, originally, Stephen Lack's head... Spoilers. In the climactic final scene, which I was thoroughly impressed with.
Yeah.
When it comes... it boils
for a scene
down...
That's two guys staring at each other.
Yeah, that's all...
It's intense.
It is. And they did such a good job of making it intense and really like conveying what's going on without any words and with just facial expressions and special effects.
Yeah. Which are also really well done.
Yes, the special effects in this movie are phenomenal.
Yes.
What was supposed to happen in that final scene, and they shot it this way originally, was that Stephen Lack's head was supposed to fly off and spark everywhere.
Amazing.
They shot it. They also shot Jennifer O'Neill's character, whose name I can't remember. Kim Oberst. Now I remember it. Obrist.
Kim
goes in and finds his charred skeleton, but his head was supposed to spark and fly off and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen Lack kept the fake head because he loved it so much.
Amazing. That's exactly what I would do.
I think really why he did that
Yeah.
was so that he could say that he got ahead in the film industry.
I will not high five you for that.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
Put your hand down.
No.
Put it down.
This podcast doesn't continue until you high five me.
Nope.
She high fived me.
He high fived himself.
Nope, you guys heard it. She high fived me.
He high fived himself.
Nope, she can't even say high five because she's really embarrassed that she just high fived me.
I did not. I did no such thing.
Anyway, so let's get back to fake heads and exploding fake heads.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about how they did that effect.
Oh, God, so great.
They made a latex head
Mm-hmm.
of that actor.
Mm-hmm.
And they filled it with fake blood,
Mm-hmm.
which is
As you do.
rabbit livers
Oh, my God.
and dog food. And then they shot it with a 12-gauge shotgun.
Oh, God bless. Yes.
And I mean, when you look at it knowing that that's the case, it's clear. It's like, yeah, they basically just shot a water balloon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that effect worked really well.
I think it worked really well, too. I'm a little bit surprised that it wasn't actually just like a watermelon that they had changed, that they had like injected with food coloring. But it's beautiful. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. At least that. I mean, if you're squeamish in any way, just reassure yourself it's fake. If you go into it thinking this is fake and it looks fake, you can reassure yourself enough that you will see how fake it is. If you watch it and you want to believe that it's realistic looking, you can convince yourself enough to enjoy it and appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case with a lot of special effects, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
If you're going to be harsh and critical about it, then you're going to look for flaws and you're going to find flaws. But if you want to enjoy it for what it is, you're going to be able to enjoy it. That's how it is.
It's just optimism versus pessimism.
Exactly.
If you're going to go into a situation as a pessimist, then even if things turn out great, you're going to see the reasons why they didn't.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think that's the case with just about anything you see in the film industry.
Yep. Agreed. Let's talk about some tropes.
Yep.
Little spoilery here. Again, this movie's old enough. I don't mind spoiling it.
Mm-hmm.
The reveal that the two most powerful people are really the children of this guy that we met earlier.
And that they were brothers all along.
Mm-hmm.
And that, of course, one of them thinks the dude was, like, super great. And the other one is like, no, he was really a jerk.
Cameron wore a freaking trench coat for most of the movie, looking kind of badass.
Kind of. I don't know. I really feel like there weren't a ton of tropes, to be honest. And I think it kind of comes back to what we said during Hocus Pocus. Not that it's magic, so to speak, but the super, not like incredibly supernaturally, but like telepathy, etc. There's not a ton of tropes.
Yeah.
Therein. I mean, there is a secret organization, government is lying to you kind of thing.
You've created your own villain.
There is a giant database of people like you, and we've been watching you your whole life. Kind of a paranoia element. I will say, one thing that they didn't play into that I'm grateful for, they did not immediately tap into like, oh, I have a special ability, and you are a female with a special ability. Therefore, they are going to force a romance.
Yeah, I was really happy that they subverted that trope of here are two powerful people of opposite genders.
Kiss now.
Right. I never felt like there was any romance going on there.
Not at all. I was relieved that they...
I do want to show this movie to our kids someday.
Yes.
Mainly because I want to...
teach them how to shoot a latex head full of rabbit livers.
We'll have done that well before they see this movie. I want to leave the room for the hacking into the computer scene so that you get to answer the questions about how a computer is like a nervous system, because it kind of is like a nervous system. It's just it doesn't have a nervous system. Like, that is some bullshit.
So my answer will be, you're going to study and you're going to understand why that question is stupid, and you're going to explain to me how it's not.
I like that. Also, you get to explain to our kids about payphones and about computers that were that big and that worked on the reels. Because
so we're going to go to like an old museum of technology.
Yeah. I think it's really the only way we're going to be able to do it, because, oh boy, it's just
oh my God,
incredible how much technology has changed in, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, no, you're not gonna leave me to explain all of that to our kids.
How can you call a phone and hack into a computer? Phones are computers.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a lot to unpack.
It is.
I'm not taking that on by myself.
It's not going to be a great day. That's why I'm going to leave the room.
No, you are not.
All right, fine. I won't leave the room. I guess I think that's all that I have.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot else to really go on that one.
I'm going to do this in Stephen Lack style. You can find our podcast on iTunes and Stitcher and Podbean. Our Twitter is @SubvertedTropes. Our Gmail is subvertedtropecast@gmail.com. And our blog is subvertedtropecast.wordpress.com.
Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell your friends. And thank you so much again to our friend Grace Bolland for our amazing logo. You can find her at That Crazy Princess on Etsy or A Fandom Doodler on Instagram.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to I can't do the Stephen Lack anymore. Thank you guys very much for tuning in, and we look forward to having you for our next podcast. Have a great night.